All right, here
Okay.
we go. It's time for Talk.dance. I'm super pumped. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Kelly Palmer. We have the other amazing host, Mr. David Lipe. Hey, David, where can they find this podcast?
Anyone can find this podcast online at Talk.dance or in your favorite podcast catcher, whatever you use. If it's Spotify, iTunes, you'll find us there. But if you're in doubt, you can just go to our website, Talk.dance.
I like it. Awesome. Where can they get a hold of you, or how can they interact with this? Because we want to be able to talk to them a little bit more.
Yeah. So you can reach us through our email address at info@talk.dance or through any of our social media channels that you'll find on our website.
Love it. Okay, sweet. Let's start talking right away. I want to get into one of the most crucial pieces of dance equipment, and that is your dance bag, right? I'm super pumped to talk about this. Not only your dance bag, but your emergency dance bag.
The emergency dance bag. What do you keep in your dance bag, Kelly?
That's a really good question, man. Well, I keep shoes. I wanted to come up with a really obnoxious, like, Mary Poppins list. I keep a long grandfather clock in there, like, so stupid. I keep my shoes in there. I keep, depending on the bag, I have a couple different bags. If it's just literally a cloth bag with a drawstring, which are most simple designs, then I'll just keep my shoes in there, right? But I do have some dance bags that are slightly fancier, that are zip up, that might have pockets on the side. So I'll keep, in those specifically, I keep a shoe brush, because I think that's super important for me, depending on what pair of shoes I have in there, but most of mine are some sort of suede or felt on the bottom or whatever. And actually for me, super important, I keep a charger cord. Because if I'm teaching, I never know if they're going to have cords for my phone. So that's important to me. What about you? What do you keep in your dance bag?
So my dance shoes and side pocket, I usually have a shoe brush, which is helpful because sometimes, your shoes get gummied up after a while and they don't work nearly so well.
Yeah.
Usually a towel.
That's a good one.
Small little towel. And I don't know about you, Kelly, but when I dance, I start sweating after a while, right? And so I usually, like, if I'm going out for the evening, I usually have another shirt in there, maybe even two, right? And a little plastic bag that I can put the wet ones in.
Well, so that's interesting, because I was thinking just shoe bag, but if I'm going out dancing and I'm taking a bag, which I normally do, like, actually I have a huge bag that I take out, and everyone knows, it's like, oh, here he comes with that big obnoxious bag, because I'll try to pack every little thing that I'll need, right? Shirts, I sweat a lot, so I'm taking at least 3 shirts anytime I go out social dancing. Like, if I know I'm going to go out social dancing, lots of shirts, lots of t-shirts. I like the bag, though. I never thought of that. I never thought of bringing a bag to put the wet ones in. I just throw them back in the bag, right? I put them to the other end, but I just slap them in the bag. So that's a good idea.
Thinking,
man. Always thinking, man. So if I'm thinking of that dance bag that I'm always traveling with and not my emergency dance bag, it's a bag with 2 big pockets on the sides, and on one side, it's so interesting. I have a couple of ankle braces just in case, like the cheap ones you can get at like Walgreens or CVS, right? They can just slide over. Thankfully, knock on wood, I don't normally need them, but I feel like the minute I take them out, I'll like roll an ankle or something and I'll need them if I'm traveling, right? And in that one, actually, I've got blue painter's tape, because if I'm at a studio, I have some students who are visual. So if I'm showing them how it goes line of dance to diagonal wall, I'll just throw down 2 strips of tape, and they'll know to go that way.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So there's kind of different things you might want to put in your dance bag as for instruction versus like just social dancing, right?
Totally true. And that's just my go-to dance bag, right? So I never use that socially. I never put tape down on the floor because that would be the weirdest thing ever, right? You'd be like, "What are you doing right now?" Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want to do that. I
I
kind of
want to
want
see
to,
you do that now. Yes.
as a practical joke, I kind of want to be like, "Well, hold on," and just interrupt like an entire song as I'm taping like the different avenues of line of dance, and I'm different designs on the floor, like.
I want to be there when you do that. Yes.
I kind of want to try that now. That's obnoxious. I never thought of that.
So
On the other side, I have random stuff. I have like ibuprofen because
I was just going to say that.
yeah,
That's something I have in the side pocket as well. A little
you
packet
need
of ibuprofen.
you need ibuprofen, man. You need it. And actually, there was a brief time where I wasn't taking ibuprofen at all. And even as a dance instructor and as an avid social dancer, sure I'd be sore and I'd be stiff, but it I didn't need it as much as I think I needed it. So now I will try to be sparing on the ibuprofen, but I always have it. Like I always have
Right.
it. You know, I
Right.
have it in my bag. Band-aids. I've got some band-aids in my bag because you never know when you're gonna like your shoes, because you're always either breaking in shoes or there's always something happen, or maybe you dance so much now you've got a blister. Like you never know how much you need a band-aid until you like need it and don't have it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about you? Any other gems that you keep in your bag?
So this is not one that I do, but I came across someone doing this recently. They carry wax, and certain locations, if the floor is not good, the floor is sticky or something, they'll put wax on their shoes, which was a new one to me.
Yeah.
And they swear by it.
Yeah, I know dancers for Balboa, they prefer wax because Balboa they want the floor faster. But I know modern salsa, a trend I'm seeing is baby powder, which does the same thing, but doesn't stay on the floor as long, right?
Mm,
Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about that. Like me personally, I don't have any of that stuff in my bag because I feel now I'm changing the dynamic of the social dancing to fit my desires. So that way, if you have somebody else who doesn't want a fast floor, sorry about your luck. So I don't quite know how I feel about that yet. But yeah, I know some dancers will do that.
right. So, it was interesting. You were talking about different things that you might have in your bag for instruction versus social dancing. Um, I have I have kind of a couple different versions of my dance bag.
Yeah.
That so I've got my usual my official dance bag that has some of the
Mhm.
things we talked about, and then I've got like a a knapsack that I have for work, right? My day job,
Mhm.
and in that I also have like a pair of these. I don't know if you can see these. These are just like slip-ons. They're
Oh
like
yeah,
socks that you can put over your shoe.
I
Uh,
like those.
so this is I can dance on any uh, decent floor with those without having even dance shoes. So if there's because you never know when there's a dancing emergency.
You never know. I think those qualify for dance emergency bag. Like I think we should
Yeah,
put one of
yeah,
those together for sure.
yeah. And if you were looking at my car, I always have just in the trunk of my car extra dance shoes, like down by the spare tire because you just
Yep.
never know. I might be somewhere and I really want to dance,
Yep.
and I don't have my dance bag with me, but you can be guaranteed I will have dance shoes in my car.
That's yeah, I do that. I do that as well. I have shoes that I like that aren't necessarily dance shoes. Like for instance, I like Toms, right?
Mm,
They're comfy, they're nicely made shoe, and they're cheap enough, right? But that's a really common one to use for West Coast swing. So I'll have in my trunk as well. I'll have a pair or two of Toms that I don't wear outside. Those are my dance shoes. And I'll have a pair of those. I'll have a pair of ballroom shoes. Like I'll have a couple of different pair in my trunk, so that way, whatever situation I walk into, I'm ready to go.
that's awesome. That's really great. Anything else you can think of in the dance bag?
You know, I'm huge on actually I probably have too many. So like my zipper bags, I have a power cord in one of them, but I also have a charger power cord in my big dance bag. Like I never want to be somewhere and need my phone. Like even if I go out social dancing, I know a lot of the DJs and they'll be like, "Hey man, you got a song or so." I can tell them, or sometimes I'll have to plug my phone in and play it off my phone or whatever. So I'm always just really conscious about my phone being powered, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of.
I do like having my phone with me with because I've got a lot of dance playlists
Yeah.
on there and with downloaded music.
Yep.
So I'm not really dependent on some kind of internet connection and stuff. So
Yep.
sometimes that's helpful.
Yeah.
And I do like having the little wireless earbuds, the Apple
Yes. Huge.
AirPods, because
Yeah.
sometimes you're somewhere and you just want to dance to someone. You can share them, right?
Yep.
Take the left ear, I'll take the right ear. Um, so that can be kind of
I
useful as
like
well.
that. I like hygiene. So I've got travel deodorants in my dance
Yeah.
bag that honestly, if I change shirts, so if it's even a halfway decent night, I'll go through a couple of shirt changes, right? Just because I like to dance and I'll sweat. And even if I'm remotely wet, right, or sweaty, if it's late enough into the night, I'll go ahead and change because I want a nice dry experience for my follow. So every time I change my shirts, I deodorant up every time. I don't care. I'll take it into the bathroom with me. And I also have a body spray, right? So that way it's like I want the whole experience to be pleasant. I don't want them to be like, oh my God, dude, you need to change everything about your life. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, along a similar line, mints. Like I like
Yes.
some breath mints, because sometimes you just lose track of how you yourself might smell, right?
I
And
completely agree. And that, all those onions and garlic
exactly.
on that food you ate earlier seems like such a great idea back then.
What was
Yeah.
I thinking? Yes,
Cool. All right. Well, you know what? If you're listening and you have ideas or you have thoughts about a dance bag, go ahead and let us know. We'd love to see what you guys think about dance bags.
we'd love to hear your ideas.
We'd love it. One more time, hit them with the email.
info@talk.dance.
That's amazing.
So,
Cool. So, what were you saying?
so Kelly, just I think we've talked that one out enough now. But I wanted to tell you about an event I was at recently. I was
Okay.
at a dance weekend. There's an organization called Stardust Dance, and they do
Excellent.
this huge dance weekend. I think they do it like 4 times a year, and
Wow.
it's up in the Catskills in New York. And it's
Catskills. I love that.
in the Catskills. And if you've ever watched Dirty Dancing, right? That's set in the Catskills, right? It was one of those places that were very popular 50 years ago, 60 years ago. So some of those venues are still there, and they're Stardust is an organization. They run these dance weekends 4 times a year. I think they do a cruise once a year. But it's a huge event.
Okay.
They bring in a bunch of instructors. It's kind of like going to a conference. They've got tracks, so you can take lessons throughout the day in Latin dancing, in Argentine tango,
Oh
in
wow.
West Coast swing. You can do ballroom. They've got um, multiple ballrooms where they've got, in addition to the classes going on, just social dancing throughout the day. Every evening they bring in professional performers uh, on the Friday night and the Saturday night to give like really awesome performances, like
Oh nice.
really really
You
top.
so where would I look this up at?
Yeah, they've got a website. It's stardustdance.com. Here, let me just share this
Magic
here.
of technology.
The magic of technology. Okay. Yeah, this is their website here.
Nice.
And they've been doing this for years. I don't know how many years, but you can see here they're coming up to their 120th weekend. So the one I was at was the 119th.
Okay.
Um, but they're going to have one in November. again, and yeah, it's a fabulous event. They employ, I don't know, probably about 15 to 20 dance hosts.
Wow.
So help deal with often the gender imbalance, and it's a really fun event. They usually have like some little impromptu informal competition as
Okay.
well. um I enjoyed taking part in that because it's so much more fun, and it's not the pressure of going to a dance competition. It's just, they
Yeah.
usually just say, hey, if you want to take part, show up in this ballroom at 3 o'clock, and you just put your hand up, right?
Yeah.
So not
Oh,
to
cool.
brag, I won a first place, but in
Nice.
one of them, yeah. But no,
Well,
it's really a lot of fun.
excellent. Cool. So what are some of your takeaways, right? Because I mean, if we talked about every little aspect of this weekend, we'd still be talking like 2 hours later. It seems like that big and that great of an event. But what are some of your personal takeaways?
Yeah. So you know, I know there's other dance weekends like this that exist throughout the country. I think this is the biggest one. I've never heard of another one that goes on that's quite so big and across a whole genre of dances. But yeah, it's worth checking out. In fact, we might want to do another episode on this where we actually interview some of the people involved in it.
Yeah, that would be excellent. That would be
Yeah,
excellent.
could be cool.
What how was the social dancing? How was I mean, who was the band?
Yeah, so that was also cool. They actually brought in Tito Puente Jr.
Oh,
and his
so good.
7-piece band. Uh, the one evening that was really cool. They've got otherwise they've got usually like 4 different DJs going on. So they'll have a whole ballroom just uh, dedicated to Argentine tango. They've
Wow.
got another one that'll just be nothing but West Coast swing and hustle all night long. They've got
Cool.
another one that's like mixed ballroom. They've got another one that's like salsa and bachata and other Latin
Wow.
dances. Really cool and very good DJs.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's really quite something. And it's kind of funny they brought in Tito Puente Jr. and they actually had to announce to everyone that for the sake of their dance hosts, especially because when you have a live band, right, sometimes the sets get longer. They go right in from one piece
Oh
to
yeah.
another sometimes, right?
Yep.
And so they had to warn everyone, saying, hey, we're going to have some special lights set up that'll just flash and let people know, hey, it's time to change, right? So we don't kill our dance host with the
That's
8 minute
wonderful.
long number, right? And
Yeah, because like a good band, man, will like they'll drag a song out, a 3 to 4 minute song, and they'll drag it out with solos and with improv, and just if they're feeling the vibe, they could go. I've been out dancing. I used to work for Arthur Murray, and we would have the Murray After Dark or whatever, where Murray's studios would go out social dancing out in public or whatever. And I used to enjoy watching it if it was a band, like some bands would play 6 7 minute songs
right.
and you're like, okay, this is a long song. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting
yeah.
that they do that.
Yeah. So it's and they were great. I mean, that band was awesome, really high energy.
Yeah.
Really
Tito
got the
Puente
crowd going.
Jr., man.
Yeah, you know. But yeah, you might want to check it out. Stardust Dance,
Yeah.
stardustdance.com is their website. And yeah, great event, a really wonderful event.
So
Um,
did you take advantage of the social dancing? Because I would have been bouncing around like total
oh,
ADD,
definitely.
going from room to room.
Yeah. So it's one of these events, everything included. So you go up, you have breakfast, and they'll have in the dining hall they'll have dancing. So during the meal you can dance. Same at lunch
Oh
and
wow.
dinner. Uh, you can do the classes, but if you just say no, I had enough classes, I just want to do more social dancing, you can go into the other halls and have social dancing going on.
Oh wow.
And
So they
then
had the social dancing going on while they were having class, while they're having everything going on.
yeah,
Oh, that's
it's
amazing.
amazing. It really is amazing. And then it'll go on into the night, right?
Yeah.
So I think depending on the DJ, they can go really quite late. you can get the Breakfast Club kind of going on.
Oh, that's excellent. I love the
At some
Breakfast
point,
Club.
I wasn't quite my stamina wasn't quite that high for this weekend.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I like being part of the Breakfast Club, but I don't often make it to the Breakfast Club myself when I go to events.
Right,
Because
right.
sometimes you're dancing and you're lost in it, and it's great, and then somebody opens the ballroom doors and the sun's out, and you're like, what happened? And then there are other times where you're like, I've danced 80 songs in a row, I'm tired, and it's like midnight. You know what I mean? Like, you never know, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's super cool, dude. That is so cool. Like, it makes me want to check it out next time. I won't be able to make the November one, but maybe in 2020, maybe we can look at hitting one up, because that would be really excellent.
It would be a lot of fun. And I'd love to hear from our audience about other dance weekends and events that you've gone to.
Yeah.
I know there's others across the country, and we'd like to hear what you loved about them, and which are your favorites.
Yeah, I agree. And it doesn't have to be a specific style of dance. I know there's like Mad Jam for West Coast Swing. I know for like Lindy Hop and Balboa and Collegiate Shag, there's Camp Hollywood. Those are two really big events that draw really big numbers. But I mean, those are only two styles of dance. Like, what's a really good Malonga weekend to go to? What's a really good Salsa Congreso or whatever to go to? Like, that'd be great to know all these things. So hit us up at info@talk.dance. And let us know. That's a really good idea, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I definitely want to talk more about that, but we'll save that for another time. Let's get into a little bit of speaking of Malongas, let's talk briefly, because my knowledge is limited, but I'm excited to learn about the history of tango.
Oh man, that's an interesting topic.
It
I
is.
I love just the topic of history in general. I don't know
Yeah.
why I've always kind of been into that. And I'd really love to know more about the history of actually many dances.
Me too.
So tell me, Kelly, what can you tell us about the history of tango?
Don't put this all on me. I don't know.
I know almost zero.
Oh, that's all right. So first of all, just what little I know is, or what little I've learned is actually Argentine tango isn't the first tango. I believe it started as Milonga was one of the first tangos, and then Argentine developed later on. I mean, again, I don't have very much info. There's a couple of websites that I'm checking out right now, like Wikipedia, and then there's the one where we saw where it's like dancehistory.net or something like that. And again, if you are listening and you have a good website or a good reference to go to, even if it's a person to ask about, let us know at info@talk.dance. But yeah, started as a Malonga, and then it's much more of a worldly influence on Argentine tango than I thought. I thought it was just us from Argentina. It popped up to the Americas and became part of ballroom, and that was it. Not at all. There's an African influence. There's a huge European influence on Argentine tango, and it started with the lower class in Argentina. Like, the upper class didn't want to have anything to do with that dance, and that was the early 1900s. At one point, tango music it had a huge surge in popularity, and anytime the music's popular, the dance that goes with it then also surges in popularity. Brief snippets I can pull off the top of my head are around 1912-ish. It became popular in New York and in North America, and then from there, it just slowly branched out, and today now is so popular. I mean, that's a super brief history, but there was one point where I had learned that leaders or men have to dance with each other. Like, if you're becoming an Argentine tango dancer, a teacher, you are only allowed to practice with men if you're a man for a year. Like, you're not even allowed to dance with a lady. And I know that's legit. That's very traditional. And the reason why, I have a couple of stories I've heard. I don't know how much truth is involved. And I've heard one version is sailors would travel around the world, and when they would get to Argentina, they would want to pick up the ladies. And they would do that by showing off their skills. Well, when you're on a boat traveling around the world with other guys, who are you going to dance with? You're going to dance with other guys. So it was a way for them to practice with each other and show off. I've also heard that Argentine tango was really danced by women to show for them to kind of slink it up and pick up men as well. Again, I'm getting into this history. And one other part of history I learned was there was a ban in one of the countries. It was either Cuba or it was Argentina. I don't know. It's one of the countries. There was a ban on partner dancing or on group gatherings, right? So they weren't allowed to dance with each other. So guys would hang out with guys and women would hang out with women, and that's how they would practice. And then rock and roll came in the 50s, and it changed a lot of that dynamic. And that's about all I got for right now.
Interesting.
So
yeah, this would be an interesting topic for us later to dive into even greater depth.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. I had the opportunity to go to Argentina briefly. I was on a trip to Uruguay.
Ooh, nice.
And I got some tango in there. And I was in the small town of I'm forgetting what it was. Anyway, I was in Uruguay, and we we took the ferry across to Buenos Aires for a day, and I saw some amazing street tango. There's a major thoroughfare. They call it Florida, like as in the state, but they pronounce it slightly differently.
Right.
And there were amazing tango street performances there. I got some great video of that.
Nice.
Maybe we can post some in the show notes. But yeah, really fabulous stuff.
Nice. And I've well, with dance in general, like you want to keep your feet on the floor, right? And with the exception of like people think of Lindy Hop and they want you to be flying and doing aerials and stuff. But in general, like you want your feet connected to the floor. So I think that's just a general rule in a lot of dances. But I had heard through a tango dancer that the reason tango dancers do it specifically is because traditionally it comes from Argentina and cobblestone streets. So you don't want to roll an ankle, you don't want to trip, you don't want to be off balance. So you stay connected to the ground to know where the bumps and the cracks are in the cobblestones. So, I mean, it seems legit, but I have no idea how much of that is folk legend or legit history. So I'm hoping our audience can help clue us in. And I think a trip to Argentina would be awesome.
That would be something.
I've never been, man.
That would be something. Yes. Okay, we'll schedule that.
Yeah, we'll get right on that. It'll be great, right? Oh, that'll be amazing. Yeah, and the cool thing is tango is actually a traveling dance. A lot of people don't realize that. It actually moves line of dance. But what happens is socially, you see it like in the street or you see it in a small area. So it can be danced on a tabletop. Like it can be danced in a small area, but the tradition of the dance is that it would travel around the floor. So I think that's pretty cool as well. That it's one of the most versatile dances. And as far as connection with your partner, the call, follow, the interaction, the back and forth, the conversation, there's very few dances that have it so in depth as tango does, or Argentine tango, I should say. So that's crazy, man. I'm super excited to talk more about more about tango. Wow, I must be hungry, man. Wow. I'm super excited to talk more history about that and more history of other dances, man. This is just the start of this podcast. I'm super pumped about it. If you're listening and you have any ideas you want to talk about or anything you want to hear about, hit us with that the website again, David.
Talk.dance, and our email address is info@talk.dance.
I love it. Hey, today I wanted to chat a little bit, or we wanted to chat a little bit about etiquette, dance etiquette.
Yeah, I think that's a great topic, Kelly. And one of the most basic things I often see is that people have never really learned how to properly engage someone to ask them how to dance.
That's a huge one, man. That is a huge one. See it all the time. Whether guy, girl, lead, follow, doesn't matter. The person asking the askee, I guess that's how you'd say it, the asker and the askee. The asker gets really excited or just takes for granted that they're going to say yes, and they just end up like either showing a hand or they just grab and go, right? There's no verbal confirmation or even an ask. I will say uh, there's ranges of everything. And if I know somebody, then that is perfectly acceptable if I know you and I'm not in the middle of a conversation. It is okay for someone to be like off of the hand because I've danced with them before and I know them, or I might do that to somebody and that's okay. But a newer dancer or somebody you've never danced with, yeah, you can't do that.
Like so many things in life, context is important, right?
I completely agree, my friend. I completely agree.
So I do this very much the same thing for someone I have a really good rapport with. I've known them for a while, and we're close friends. I'll just reach out the hand and say, "Come on, let's go." But normally that is not the way you want to go, right? If you do not know the person, not know them well, manners go a long way.
Yes, they do. And in that vein, right, just really quickly, if you go up to somebody and there's a group of people, be polite and wait for the conversation either to lull down enough to where you can insert yourself or insert yourself politely. Like don't just jump in front of somebody to ask them, right? Make eye contact with who you're going to ask and let them know like you're trying to get in there and ask them to dance, right? And then be polite and be like, would you like to dance? Right? As you said, context is everything. Don't be like, yo, get out here. Like, yeah, you can't do that, right?
Right, right. And I want to say to leaders and followers, but maybe to guys in particular, if you get a rejection, just be cool with it, right? I've seen guys get in a little bit of a tough, or that they get a rejection. They want to challenge the person. Why are you saying no?
Yep.
Look, people get tired. People have all kinds of reasons why they might not want to dance either at this moment or with you at all, and
Right.
that's fine, right? You should just be
Yeah.
cool with it.
I completely agree. I think you should totally be cool. And I'll be honest, I don't think it's just guys. I do see guys or leaders or whatever get in a tough or, to have a tizzy, whatever you want to call it, when they are told no. And they're like, well, blah, blah, blah. And they puff out their chest. But I've also, being a guy and being a leader, I see it more often from follows or women, right? Just because that's my role of being a leader. So I interact more with the followers. And just so happens followers are more often than not women, right? Or at least the places I go. I'm not generalizing, I'm just saying my experiences. So I will often get, well, I'm leaving in a couple, and they'll throw a fit that way. Well, I'm leaving in a couple dances. I want to make sure I dance with you. Or, oh, I've been waiting all night and there's a line to dance with you. Or there's just some sort of attitude. And it's like, I'm sorry, but I need a break too, for whatever reason, right? So I think the moral of the story is if you get a no, it's not that they hate you. It's just that there's a reason that they're not dancing. Maybe they just don't like the song. Who knows, right?
Right.
It's not necessarily you. So just be cool on the ask and be cool on the expectations. Really quickly before we cap this up, I just want to ask you, David, what do you think of before it used to be the guys asked the girls to dance? Well, now it's a new day and a new age. What do you think about, let's just say lead follow? What do you think about followers asking to dance?
I'm completely cool with it. And most guys, once you get a little bit of dance experience, you will get asked a lot because often that's just the nature of the ratios between the genders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I consider it an honor to be asked, right? So even though, of course, like most dancers, you enjoy dancing with dancers who are very good and proficient and whatnot, I'm honored to be asked by anyone, right? Hey, they want to dance with me. That's a compliment. And so I will sometimes turn them down for the moment and say, hey, this is a rather challenging dance. Can I get you on the next one? What's your
Mm-hmm.
favorite dance? I'd love to do that with you.
Oh, that's nice.
Um, but yeah, I think it's completely cool for either role to take the
Yeah,
initiative. Hey, it's the 21st century, right?
exactly. Right. We're celebrating individuals and we're celebrating that. So at the point of that, be an individual. If you want to dance, ask people to dance. Like, it's as simple as that.
Hey, Kelly, I do want to say in the Argentine tango world, There's a completely different etiquette about this. And we should come back and do another episode about that because it's really cool how that
I
works.
like it. I like where your head's at. This spurs up so many other conversations. And not only that one in the Argentine dance, or what other dances have different ways to ask to dance, right? Also, what happens when you ask to dance and the person doesn't know the dance that you're about to do? Like, this brings up so many different topics that we'll cover in the future. But for now, that covers the asking to dance and handling the response of that ask. We're here at Talk.dance. I'm Kelly Palmer. This is David Lipe. Lipe, one more time, where can they contact us to let us know about their stories of asking and answering to dance?
Talk.dance is our website, and our email address is info@talk.dance. We'd love to hear from you, and in the meantime, keep on dancing.